Alright, so I'm just gonna talk about this video, and if you don't like it, you can mute me and listen to your music, and hopefully you'll still continue watching the video if you're interested. But basically, I was building this pull-up bar and I realized I have a GoPro, so I set it up and started filming. You can see I already have dug one hole. I'm just checking my measurements. I had everything kind of laid out beforehand, but you know, you're always checking as you keep going, because you know, digging a hole is not exactly precise science, is it? With my garden, I kind of knew this, but I hit the clay quite quickly. So because of the clay and because I didn't really have special post hole diggers, didn't want to spend any more money than I did on this, I was just using a big metal bar to dislodge the clay, and then my hands and the dipper from the kitchen to, you know, get the clay out. And I was only able to go 600 mil deep. For the 3.6 meter long posts, it's not a lot. Granted, I did cut like 10 centimeters or so, just so everything is 2.7 meters high. I'm 6'4", so I wanted to be able to jump and hang off the bar, and so my feet don't touch the ground. So therefore it has to stick out, or the outer bit has to be 2.7 meters, and 600 mil is going to be in the ground. And if I had to do it again, I would probably spend a bit more time and go deeper, probably 800 or maybe even a meter deep, and maybe make a hole bigger and put a bit more concrete in. But I think this will work just fine, because it's going to be arranged in kind of triangle, so it will more or less reinforce and strengthen everything. So just keep digging. Money wise, I spent about 90 quid on posts, 3 posts, then 30 quid on clamps, and about 20 or 30 quid on postcrete, and the rest of the stuff I kinda had lying around. So I had some treatment for the wood, everywhere where I made some cuts I treated the wood, so just so it lasts a bit longer in the ground, and all the cuts got extra treatment as well, 2 or 3 goes, 2 or 3 coats, just to be on the safe side. But on the previous build I used bitumen paint, and that worked nicely, because when I was moving out of the previous house, I had to take it down, and I could see there was no rot on those posts at all. So I didn't want to go and overkill here and do too much. So you can see weather is changing, and I had to restart video multiple times because battery was running out, or the rain was picking up, wind was picking up, all that stuff. So constantly moving stuff in and out of the garage and trying to make progress. So there's the first post going in. Like I said, 600 mil is under the ground. With this one, it's I think 2.8 meters is above the ground, because it has to match to the other post, which is you can see the other hole. The other post there is going to be 2.7 meters out of the ground, because it's in a high spot in the garden. So that one's probably going to be the most kind of stable one. But this 2.8 meters is above the ground, and 600 is in the ground. So they all kind of bent and bowed slightly, because they're meant to be outside, they're meant to be treated. Not really a show pieces of wood, but we work with what we can. So just trying to find level, and you know, make them as straight as you can. So put some postcrete in, some water on top, just so everything sets nicely. Use some clamps to hold the post in the meantime, and moving on to the next one. This one goes in, and I think I'm gonna take clamps off and clamp this one, because I think the postcrete sets in about 10 minutes, and this time lapse is quite speedy one, because I started at 10 o'clock and all this was done at around 5 or 6 o'clock, so it was a whole day essentially, but it's only 20 minutes here, so you know, that post should be set and ready to go. So we're leveling this one out. I'm using some more clamps, putting some water in, checking levels again, and bringing the postcrete. Find a nice and easy to use postcrete. You don't have to mix anything. I'm really happy with that. So I'm gonna check the levels on the posts there, and it worked like a charm. High precision engineering right there. So we're gonna dig another hole soon. I think it might start raining again, to be honest, but basically I wanted to dig another hole, but then I decided maybe I should put the bar up and make sure it actually works before I put the third post in. And obviously some phone time, and doing stuff in the garage. So this pipe is 2.5 meters and the space between posts is 2.10 meters, so I'm just cutting some off. And also these pipes are 42 millimeters, and the previous ones I had on my other property were 48 mil scaffolding pipes, and I think those were hard to grip for long, so I went for slightly smaller pipe, and I don't know if I can notice a big difference, but also I haven't been doing any pull-ups for the last 3 years because, you know, I didn't have a proper pull-up bar, but I think this will be slightly better, and I already tried them and they're quite good. Feels quite good and solid as well. Nice, it doesn't really flexes or anything like that. So measuring the clamps, because it's all level now, I can only just, you know, do 3 centimeters from the top and then just attach the clamps. So let's have a sip of water here while other Edgar is working. Again, the whole garden is kind of sloped, so it was a bit tricky to find the levels and a bit tricky to not to fall as well. Here we go, there was rain, we cut to the next stage, and there's some pictures of my previous pull-up bar. 1 post and 2 brick walls to attach to, so as you can imagine that one was solid. There was no movement at all. I had 90-degree scaffolding clamp bend thing, so it was solid, very nice. I loved it, but the house wasn't that great. So here we're gonna be attaching our first pipe. Pre-drilled holes just to avoid any, you know, cracking, anything like that, the usual stuff. So the clamp has 4 screw holes in it, and you could argue that, you know, maybe it's not enough strength, but I went for the thickest screws I could find, and I think like it should hold, a single screw should hold about, you know, energy that translates into like 40 kgs or something like that. So, you know, we have 160 kgs there per clamp. I think we will be alright, and it's spread between 2 of them, my weight, so shouldn't be a problem at all. Spirit level helps as well. To be honest, I got pretty tired. Working alone is quite hard, and especially when it rains, you're constantly moving things in and out of the garage, trying to stay dry. So here I kind of pre-drilled, well, not pre-drilled, I actually drilled through the pipe, because the Allen key, the slot where you put the Allen key in and turn the little nut, it's hole, you can see the pipe through it, so I just drilled through the pipe and put a self-tapper screw in it. I did it on all of them. Basically what it means, if the Allen key somehow, Allen key nut becomes undone somehow, there will be a screw that will stop the pipe from just falling out and me potentially falling on my head. And I had it done in the last on my last pull-up bar as well, and you know, I think I had it for 8 years, something like that. Nothing ever happened to it. So I'm doing some thinking there, adjusting the camera, and there comes another post. Again, trying to find the best side to use, because it has a little bit of bow in it. Marking it out, gonna cut some off and gonna treat it again. You can see that I was using spirit level just to find, you know, how long this post should be. In this case it was like 200, well, 2 meters, 2.7 meters above the ground, and then I needed to add 13 centimeters for the, you know, sloping ground, so they all align at the top and looks nice and professional. Adding some of this chemical to treat the cut and treat the bit that's going to be in the ground while doing some other stuff. So you can see I had the longest pipe there laid out, and so it would help me see where the post should go. And in this case I had to move the hole slightly, which is a good thing that I checked. So this was my longest pipe, 2.5 meters, and had clamps on it that were kind of angle adjustable. So my idea was I put this third pole in, I put the longest pipe in, this hypotenuse of the triangle, and kind of tie everything together to give it a bit more strength. It kind of did so. You know, it gave it a bit more strength, but if you're building something like that, try and go deeper into the ground, take a bit more time. You'll be better. Just gonna feel a bit more solid. But these being 10 by 10 posts and they being concreted into the ground, they're not going anywhere, even though they might sway at the top when when you're swinging off them and doing pull-ups and all sorts. So I don't think it's an issue, and most people probably not gonna need 2.7 meter high pull-up bar as well. I'm 6'5", and I want to just hang off it nicely. We're putting some more postcrete in. checking the levels again, adding a little bit more postcrete and some water on top. I'm just cleaning off some water runoff with the cement so the patio stays nice and clean. Checking levels, and we're gonna prep the smallest pipe. So the space between these posts is 1.4 meters. I'm just gonna kind of attach one end and then see if my markings are correct. In this case they weren't, so I had to remeasure and redo it. I don't know what it is, but I have problems measuring. It's some kind of measuring dyslexia. So, but somehow we got through this one. So I'm sanding the edge there, adding some oil to it, just to stop corrosion. I don't even know if it does anything, but you know, I had oil there, and I did it. This bar is going to be set up lower, so other people can use it, and my girlfriend can hang off it if she wants to after work. Hanging is really good for you, and you probably know because you're watching this video. And this is gonna be 2 meters 15 centimeters off the ground, and in the future we're probably gonna put some swings on there as well if the kids are visiting or we have kids. They'll be fun. We also put a hammock probably on the longest bit as well to enjoy the summer, if the summer continues nice like it was so far. Working alone, clamps help a lot, so you can probably see me clamping a lot of things. There's never enough clamps, to be honest, and I have these quick release ones. They're really useful. I wish I had more. They're quite expensive though. Putting some screws in, so it ties this all together. And I'm pretty happy how it's going. To be honest, I was quite surprised how much you know, all of this cost. In my mind, I was like, oh, just pull the bar. There's some posts and some pipes. Pipes were 90 quid, posts were 90 quid, clamps 30 quid, postcrete 30 quid, and you know, that's because we already had all the tools and screws and, you know, the timber treatment for the cuts, all that stuff. So yeah, everything these days, whatever project you do, is expensive. So this was the trickiest bit, because of how uneven the ground is. So I decided to put one clamp there, fully attach it, and then move to the other side and try and hit the ball straight into the clamp. And I think I did it on the first go. So putting some stuff there just so the ladder is nice and secure. Doing my best, at least. There we go. That worked. We're gonna clamp it down just to make sure that when we actually screw it in, the clamps, they're gonna press it nicely, compress it so the screw goes all the way in and pulls it all together. So I'm gonna secure ladder a little bit more. I don't want to break my neck on the last bit of this build. So I'm just looking for the biggest screws I could find, to be honest, and I couldn't really get in. I could add screw on the left side, but I couldn't get on the right side. So all I did, I got some grease, I got a big screw, and without pre-drilling, just you know, just whacked it in there. And it seems like it's working. We'll find out. So this kinda, I think this is all done. I'm gonna give it a little test. Don't want to swing it too much because the postcrete is probably still setting, but that's all done. And if you're looking to do something like that, I wish you all the best. And it's quite a fun project if you think and plan. And if you have any questions, you can always hit me in the comments. But I think the other thing I was kind of interested when I was doing this, there was no regulations about pull-up bars. There is regulations about buildings, but I think this is kind of, you can just build it, and your neighbor's just gonna have to accept that it's there because it's not a permanent structure. So here you go. And with my situation, this big plan definitely helps.